All right, we're joined today by Alastair Still, CEO of GoldMining Inc. Good to have you with us.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Before we go into your company, I'd like to get a little bit of background on you and your expertise in the mining industry, how you started.
Sure. Well, my background is starting as a geologist. I always had an interest in rocks and gold in particular. So I started as a career as a geologist, working at mines in Northern Ontario, places like Kirkland Lake and Timmins. So I got the good operating experience. I jumped into a corporate role in Vancouver, working for some major companies like Placer Dome and Goldcorp and then Newmont. So I got to see M&A globally around the world. And in that period, also had the pleasure of building a mine in Argentina, in Patagonia, the Cerro Negro mine. So I spent some time in South America. So it gave me a good mix of operating background, corporate M&A work, and project building. So I can now come into a company like GoldMining, which has a portfolio of assets ready to be advanced.
Right, so you have a portfolio of assets all over the Americas. You have one in Whistler, you have some in Peru, in Colombia. Talk a bit about why you stand out and why you're different than other mining companies.
Yeah, well, I think it is just that. We have a diverse portfolio, and we have now 7 projects. Each have over 1 million gold equivalent ounces. So there's some 12.5 million ounces measured indicated gold equivalent ounces and 9.7 million ounces inferred gold equivalent. They're in all stable jurisdictions in the Americas. We have projects throughout North America, but also in Brazil, Colombia, and in Peru. So that diversity is terrific. But what also separates us, we have a uranium project, which very people know about. We can talk about that a little bit. But more importantly, we have an experienced team with a balance sheet ready to put to work for us. We have some $160 million worth of assets on our balance sheet, including cash and significant equity holdings in companies such as Gold Royalty Corporation, US Gold Mining, and NevGold.
Right. Maybe talk a bit about that. How did all of this come together? Because it's a group of companies, you're all interrelated.
Well, I think the basis here, the commonality, is with GoldMining Inc. And our chairman and founder, Amir Adnani, over some 10-year period, had a very astute strategy of acquiring assets during downturns in the market. So while others were exiting the market, he was coming in and buying things at very good value. Over 10 years, accumulated these assets ready to be advanced. And that's really when I came into the picture. I came in with an operating and production and development background to look at these assets, hadn't been touched in 10 years. How can we unlock value from them? And we started that by doing IPOs, spin-outs, and even some of our own drilling work now to showcase and highlight the value in this portfolio.
Right. So to my understanding, that's been one of your strategies, is to acquire at the bottom of the cyclical of mining. Can you expand a bit more about that?
Well, it's like anything. When markets are hot, people are clamoring to buy assets. And mistakenly, many companies are in a buying frenzy when the price is high.
Right.
We had a counter strategy, which was when the markets were down, that's when you can get real value. So really, we think of it as buying our assets for, say, 10 cents on the dollar when people were in distress situations or financial downturn, and have the patience and the financial strength and the ability to wait for the time to unlock value from those portfolio. That's really where we are today. We've acquired the assets. We have this tremendous balance sheet we've built up. Now we can unlock and harvest from this portfolio.
Totally. And in terms of generally in the industry, there's been a lot less exploration and discoveries over the past decade. What do you think needs to happen in the market to make mining great again, do you think?
Well, I think a couple things really happened on that exploration side. One is that projects are getting harder to find and they're becoming more scarce. So that's one thing. The second thing is there was a focus, say 10 years ago, where companies really started to focus, operating companies, on their bottom line and paying dividends. And to do that, they took short-term gains for long-term pain. So in other words, they cut back on exploration. Now we're starting to see the trickle-down effect of that, where the money wasn't invested into exploration. So those operating companies now have a deficit in their development portfolios to develop. That means key projects are scarce, they're harder to find. So projects that we have are much more in demand. That's really what helps drive the value in our model. These projects are really sought after and much harder to come across.
Very interesting. Is there anything you'd like to add to end this interview? Maybe some milestones coming up, something that investors can look forward to, perhaps?
Yeah, in addition to that uranium property, we also have 80% stake in a company called US GoldMining Inc., who had some very exciting drill results this past week on the Whistler project in Alaska. It's a very large gold-copper porphyry system. They had a headline drill result of 547 meters of 1.06 gram per ton gold equivalent, right at surface and open at depth. that has us very excited about that project and its potential.
Right, totally. You also sold the Nutmeg Mountain. Can you expand on the selling of this project?
That's a great example of unlocking value from a portfolio where others haven't recognized value. We acquired that asset 2 years before we optioned it for just over $1 million.
Right.
We recognized some $9 million in revenue and shares in a company called NevGold who are exploring nearby. So they're spending their capital, they're advancing it, they've grown the resource. We've received those share payments. So now we own just about 30% of equity in that company. We have full exposure to upside as they drill it and advance it. And we have some contingent payments, some $7.5 million due to us should they reach development milestones. So very exciting, a great return on our initial investment, full exposure to the upside, tremendous example of how a partner can help us grow value as well.
Amazing. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we finish this interview?
No, I just think it's a great time in the cycle, and having a project with diversity, gold and copper exposure is primarily our strength. Right. We have a uranium project as well, which is ready to be reintroduced to the market to see what the market will bear to advance it. We can advance it ourselves or perhaps with a partner. Very exciting times, and what really distinguishes us, not just that large portfolio, but having the financial strength and the balance sheet and the capital market expertise to advance these projects and fund them ourselves as well.
All right. Well, congratulations on all those milestones. Wishing you all the best.
Pleasure having you. Thanks, Carlos.